need for these artists to be exhibiting on a regular basis in Overtown. We got to start creating our own synergy, our own place for people to discover the arts. And we can do it here. We got enough buildings, we got enough stuff happening. We just need to do it. And that keeps the economy moving. So let's just make it happen. So with that being said, Neil, I know you're going to take it home.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. First of all, I'd like to thank the artists because it took a phone call. It took a phone call last year to say to them, I'd like you to come to the Urban Collective to discuss the idea. Because if the idea is big enough, then the details do not matter. You follow me? If the idea is big enough, and what is that big idea? That big idea is that there is one of the largest, the most prestigious art event happens here in Miami for 5 days, and it's called Art Basel. Last year, over $350 million worth of art was sold. Where did we play in this thing? We didn't. We didn't play in it at all. One of the things that we know is that art, design, creativity is in our DNA. You know what I mean? It is in our DNA. We don't have to try to learn how to paint, how to design, how to dance. It's here, it's in us. So the only criteria is that excellence always and will always trump race. So if we produce the finest of things, others will follow. We have a tradition of that. When jazz was being done, it was during an era where you couldn't associate with others. But individuals of others would sneak out and go into the ghettos to hear this music because there's never any other music other than jazz music. And the musicians that were playing it was something that they wanted to hear. And so they defied parents, they defied conventional wisdom and went into the bowels of these spaces to hear good music. And that is why we decided that it is important that Overtown, which was the second major art renaissance during that period, the Harlem Renaissance in Miami. And one of the things that we wanted to do was to change the paradigm where artists used to go do their entertainment and have to come back home. And that home was Overtown. Today, those artists with discretionary money spend the money in Overtown, spend the money on the beach, live on the beach, and do not come back home. And the reason why they don't come back home is because we don't have a space for them to come back home. They're so used to throwing serious money on Cavassier, like $30,000 during the New Year's Eve with 3 serious hip-hoppers, seeing how many dollars that they can spend and who can be the best. The highest of our show here is probably about 10,000. 1,000 would be a great thing to have, right? It's just a check. They can write it in a second, but they don't. And they don't do that because they don't feel the need. They don't feel the need. And what we have to do in Overtown, this place called the Entertainment Epicenter, and I need to make a quote here, and this for all of you who are not aware of what is going on within this place called Miami. There's a branding that is taking place. There's a branding that is taking place. I read in the Wall Street Journal where a developer made a comment that said, you got to invest in Overtown Park West because it's going to blow up. And as a matter of fact, it used to be formerly called Overtown. You hear me? It was formerly called Overtown. So the brand has started. It will be called Park West. It will be called Midtown. It will be called Upper East Side. It is taking the brand of New York and transplanting it here. And the reason for that is that you cannot use the terms that others have always used to imply degradation, poverty, crime, etc. So the changing of the name allows them to come into your space. We, as artists, as business people, as concerned citizens, and as entrepreneurs, need to take control of their environment. And the only criteria for that is excellence. And one of the things that my commissioner and I spoke about over 4.5 years ago, Neil, how do we change the mentality? And I talked to Peter last week where he said, Neil, that mentality is so important to change, because you walk down the street in Overtown, they'll drop a bag on the floor, whatever, and not pick it up. There needs to be a pride in space. There needs to be a pride in space. And we have a DNA here that says, you are Overtown. And let's make it one of the best places for all of Miami, all of the world to come back to. It is tourism, it is trade, and we're not even participating in those things. It is time we start to participate in trade, tourism, because every component of that brings dollars back into our community. And also for those entrepreneurs, take a risk. Take a risk. Take a risk. Peter can tell you this. In order for us to sign this contract, I had to take a risk. I had to spend my money. But the idea was, Neil, you would be paid back. I guarantee it, no problem. So when you have faith in a government, or you have faith in people, then you need to invest. Not be shy, oh gosh, am I going to lose my money? You know, and we do that. We get scared. But if you have faith in your community, that's what they want to see. That you're going to take a risk, you'll lose it, but it's a risk. Every business around here do that. And I would like to make one last comment, because I'm sounding like a politician. I'm sounding like a politician. We have a space called the Urban Collective in Midtown. And that space is a space that tried to bring forth handcrafted products from the continent of Africa and Asia to the American market. And we do that through helping women business in these developing countries. Because we know that if you give a woman, and Adi, you know this, if you give a woman $2, they'll stretch it for $5, you know? If you give them $10, they stretch it for $40. But men, for whatever reason, we just spend it, you know? So I would like for you all to take a visit to our store. It's a good store. It's we believe one of the quaintest of stores, and we'd like to have you there. And do not pass the store by just peeking in the window. It is your store. It is your store. And that is one of the saddest things about the Urban Collective. African Americans peek in the store. They don't come in because they don't feel it's their space. It's your space. Beautiful things, beautiful objects is your object. You know, it is your object. And with that, I would like to also thank the artists who, on a phone call, decide that, Neil, if you're involved with it, we're there. Just a phone call. Just a phone call. Just a phone call. And last night, we had Denise Harrison, Mikhail Solomon, gosh, all of the artists who actually spent 24 hours helping to build this thing out last night. I would 27 hours to build this stuff out without a complaint. No one complained. No one complained about, Neil, I haven't slept. You haven't slept today. I haven't slept today. You haven't slept today. And that is what it is. It is faith. It is faith and believing that you're going to do what you say you're going to do, and then you believe. So for all of you, I thank you very much for your dedication. Because without dedication, it's just a chump, you know? I would like I would not do the introduction. I would just like to have each one of you just say your name.
Okay, my name is Christo. If I may take a moment.